You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast, where you'll learn step-by-step how to meet and seduce beautiful women, whether you're looking for one night of fun, a week-long fling, or a long-term relationship. I'm your host, Trip, and the episode starts now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the How to Talk to Girls podcast. I'm your host, Trip Kramer from tripadvice.com. Hope you had a good weekend. And if you're listening to this on the weekend because you're listening to this a lot later, well, hope you're having a great day. I'm very excited for today's episode because I decided to do something. I do this sometimes where I'll go back into my archives of past recordings, past audios, and things that I did for maybe some programs that are just discontinued at this point. And I kind of sift through, and I don't just put up anything, but I sift through and I make sure it's really good content. I listen to it and make sure that it's nowhere else, so it's special to this podcast. And so I found a program that I did, I don't even know, 2014, maybe 6 years ago. And now that program is discontinued because I made a program that is not necessarily better, but different and is a little bit more geared towards getting quicker results. That's my Hooked program. So How to Attract Your Perfect 10 does not exist anymore. It is old and it was redone and updated and called Hooked, which you can get today at getherhooked.com if you want to have a program where you go through everything. But this audio today is still relevant information, meaning I sift through and make sure it's stuff that I still believe in, stuff that I still teach, stuff that I still think is going to be helpful. You know, as a coach, as a person who is teaching this stuff, things tend to evolve. You know, things that I maybe believed in 7 years ago, things that I taught 7 years ago. I don't think there's anything that I completely disagree with, but I think I've upgraded and updated some of the information to make it a little better for you. And so that's why, even though I have this old program, there's still some stuff in it that is really helpful. And that's what I have for you today. And it's all about approaching in social situations and in casual situations, different types of situations that you're going to be learning about from this audio. And good news is it sounds good. It's in good shape. So nothing weird except for maybe like one part where you hear a siren, because I did record this 7 years ago when I did not have a studio. I've recorded it in a bedroom. So you're going to hear that, but that's not distracting at all. I thought that'd be interesting, though, at least to tell you that that's where it was recorded when I made this 7, 8 years ago. So you're going to be listening to this. Very helpful. Like I said, if you want a full program that helps you with meeting, talking to women, attracting women, all you got to do is go to getherhooked.com. That's where my new program, Hooked, is. And by the way, Hooked is something I created about 3 years ago, but it is not outdated at all. Everything is all relevant information that still works. I still believe in and stuff that I talk about to this day on the podcast and things like that. Also, I should mention that, you know, some guys might say, wait a minute, Trip, you've been doing this podcast for like 5 years. Do you telling me that there's information in early episodes that it's not updated, it's not upgraded? No, not at all. All the information that I've ever put out since day one, which was 2011, I still believe in fully. Everything I've ever talked about is stuff that still works, that still will get you results. I've just refined the information over time to be a little bit more suitable to getting quicker results. So I'm going to give you an example here. Like today, you're going to hear me talk about multiple openers, right? Opening in social situations, which will be like a party, a bar, a club, and then opening in a casual situation like a grocery store or a coffee shop, right? So I talk about different openers for that, meaning what are the first words out of your mouth? And so you're going to hear some really great openers that you can use, that you should use, that work very well. However, like today, if you ask me what's the best opener for a social situation or a casual situation, I just have one. So see what I'm saying here? Like I refined the information. Like now I just have one that you should just use all the time. So you don't have to make it so hard on yourself and think like, oh, what should I use? What should I use? But still, I want to put this information out there today because it's still good information. You might hear something that's going to work for you, that's going to be powerful for you. So I just want to have it there. So that's what I mean by information being refined, not so much information that's outdated. Nothing is really outdated. All of it can work. All of it has worked since day one, like I said, of putting out all the coaching and things that I do. So anyways, you might want to know, well, what is that opener, Trip? What's that opener? I'll tell you what the opener is. The opener is, hey, I'm Trip. I wanted to meet you. That's it. Hey, I'm Trip. I wanted to meet you. And of course, you're going to say your name in it, not Trip. You're going to say your name. But that's the very easy opener that if you just completely run out of things to say or start a conversation with, and you're a jumble in your head, your anxiety is high. Hey, I'm Trip. I wanted to come meet you. That's it. So think about that. You're going to get some transitions, by the way. I'm going to be talking about that in this episode. So lots of good stuff. Anyways, this is one of my older programs, and I think I might have some more good stuff that might be coming your way in the next few weeks that I like from the older program that I believe is going to be very helpful for you, just like this one. So stay tuned for more of those coming in the next few weeks. Also, don't forget, if you're interested or you feel like you need more help in this area, and these podcasts are amazing, but they're just not doing it all for you, you're still not getting the results you want, don't hesitate. Go to coachedbytrip.com. The link is in the show notes. Coachedbytrip.com. Trip is with 2 P's, and you can apply to coach with me one-on-one. A lot of guys think it might be too expensive. There's many options which are affordable for many people. So don't be afraid. Coaching with me is achievable. It's not too far out of your hands. As long as you're over 18, then you're already pre-qualified. Coaching is going to help with me actually working with you to create a custom plan to get you out there to meet more women, whether it's going to be online or it's going to be in person. So it's going to help you with that. It's going to teach you skills in terms of how to use openers and approach more women and hold you accountable to do so in your city where you live with your lifestyle. So we help you do that. So you get a very active dating life, meeting lots of women, whether you're looking for just a short little fling or you're looking for a more long-term relationship. I can help you with that. I work with guys also who are celibate. So if you're really religious, you're waiting for marriage, I help with that. Now, there's pretty much no guy I can't help unless you're in it for the wrong reasons. But we'll find out when we get on a phone call. When I say wrong reasons, I mean maybe you're just you don't like women, you don't respect women, you're just trying to get back at someone, evil reasons. Usually that's not a case, but I got to have a phone call with you to make sure that it's all good. So all you got to do is fill out the application, coachedbytrip.com. Do that today, and I will be here to assist you and get on the phone with you and get you into the program. Well, okay, there you go. Now let's get into the How to Attract Your Perfect 10 module where I talk about opening and approaching. Welcome to How to Attract Your Perfect 10, and we are on module number 5. We're really getting into the thick of it here. I'm excited to talk about today's module where we're going to be going over approaching. I'm going to teach you how to approach women during the day and at night and show you what you can say to them and basically how it's all done. And we'll dive deep into that. Hopefully you've done your homework from module 4, 3, 2, 1, and you've gotten some of that stuff done. And now we're going to be going into talking more about the approach, more about, conversation as the modules go on, more into the thick of what's really happening when you're in the interaction with the woman, okay? And it's really important that at this section, you start to take some more detailed notes and really listen in and understand kind of what we're doing here, because this is the stuff that is, stuff that you're going to be applying, just like the body language stuff, but stuff you'll be applying and using when you are talking to girls, when you're doing the approaches. So let's get right into it. After so many years of approaching and so many years of coaching guys on approaches, it really turns out that there's only 2 types of approaches that you can do. I call them social approaches and casual approaches. And I'll be referring to both of these as we move along our module. Okay, so the social approaches and the casual approaches. Now, social, typically nighttime. Typically, not always, but typically nighttime because we're talking parties, bars, clubs, and lounges, high energy type places, okay? So any area that is social, any place that is social, that has people talking and people are there to be social, that's a social approach, okay? Now, the reason why I'm categorizing two different types of approaches is because of the energy factor. So that's why I put a high energy on the last one there, okay, and that last bullet point. That's because when you do a social approach versus a casual approach, there's a different type of energy and a different type of approach that you're going to give. When you approach someone at a party or a bar or a place where there's high energy, you're going to do it in a different way than you would if it was casual. You just will. Because when it comes to the energy of an environment, it's going to dictate exactly how you're going to be able to focus your energy in certain places in the interaction. Okay, let me give you a better idea of what that means when I talk to you about casual approaches, which is typically during the daytime, but not always. Right? Stores, grocery store, bookstore, the sidewalk outside, casual. It's just an approach where you're not in an environment where there's a party. You're just going up to a girl that you might see. Now, again, a lot of you may have heard of the term day game or night game or bar game or whatever. I don't like to separate day game versus night game. It just doesn't really make sense to me because, during the day, you could still be at a party or at a bar or a club. There's day clubs. But that doesn't mean that you're going to have, lower energy, okay? And so when you're doing a casual approach, you're not going to be approaching a woman like you would at a bar because there's higher energy and you need to get their attention more, right? Your energy is going to be really important into what type of approach it really is, okay? So again, it all depends on whether you're approaching someone in a high energy versus low energy type environment, i.e. social versus casual. Okay? So let's break down more about what it means to be in a social approach. So when you're in a social approach, which means, again, a party, a club, a bar, a lounge, somewhere, an event, somewhere where people are socializing, there's a lot of people. Okay, it's usually groups, about 99% of the time, unless you're like at some kind of singles event, but it's usually groups. Okay. And that means that you're going to be higher energy. You're going to be higher energy when there's groups. Okay. Why? Because you can't go in with low energy, with a soft. But when I say low energy and high energy, I just mean the tone of your voice, the movement of your body, the excitement that you're bringing into the interaction. You need higher energy with groups because you got to get everyone's attention. You can't go in soft-spoken like this, talking all soft. You can't do that with a casual approach either, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what it means to have high energy. When you're going into a group, you got to be excited. You got to be, having fun. You got to deliver your opener, which we'll go over in just a minute. Deliver your opener with more excitement, okay? It's louder, right? It's always going to be louder because you're in a social environment. It's louder. That means you need to be louder. That means you need to be loud. They need to hear you. The most annoying thing in the world for a girl is when she can't hear what you're saying. I mean, truly. She just will get so annoyed that she can't hear you. You need to speak loud and you need to speak with confidence. There's more opportunity. Now, I say there's more opportunity, not necessarily in this way that it's better than a casual approach, but there's just more people around. There's just more opportunities. You're just in a group of people who are partying or a bar, and there's just tons of girls everywhere and girls to approach. which actually means less rejection, which is kind of cool. Okay, so why less rejection? That's because people are ready to socialize. They're waiting to be approached. In a casual setting, they're not necessarily prepped for an approach because they're like grocery shopping, or they're walking on the sidewalk, or they're out during the day. They're just not necessarily expecting it, but they're expecting it. So it just means, less rejection because you're going to be able to get into conversation a lot easier. Okay, casual. So in a casual setting, women are usually alone. Not always. Sometimes they're with their friends shopping and stuff, but they're usually alone, doing some shopping or out during the day, which means you're going to go in with softer energy. Not necessarily lower energy, just softer. You're not going to come in with, a very loud voice and an energetic tone when they're in a bookstore or when they're in a sidewalk. Okay? You just won't. Because you're going to scare them. That's not the type of energy, and it's not the right type of energy for that environment, which is just going to be incongruent to what's going on. They're usually walking, right? You're usually going to see a girl out in a casual approach who's walking. That means you're going to have to stop them. And I'll show you kind of how to do that in just a bit here. But you're going to have to stop them. The reason why is because it's difficult to gain attraction and get a number from a woman if you're not in a full-out conversation with them, talking to them, okay? And really focused in, or I should say they're focused in on you, you're focused in on them as well. Okay, so you got to stop them. And you're a stranger. You're just more of a stranger, which means you have to gain more trust. Now, of course, yes, in a social approach, you're also a stranger, but it's different. You guys are already pre-connected in a way. You guys are pre-connected because you were invited to the same party or you're just at the same bar. So it's a little bit, you guys already have a little bit of something in common, but during a casual approach, you don't. So you gotta gain their trust, and there's a way to do that, which we'll go over. Okay, so casual openers. What are you gonna comment on? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna open up when she's at her laptop, when she's walking? What are you gonna do? The best way to open up a girl in a casual approach is comment on something. Whether they're something they're wearing, something that they're doing, or maybe something like their style. That's it. There you go. Secrets out. That's the best way to approach a girl, okay, during a casual approach. Okay, so comment on something that they're wearing, comment on something that they're doing, or maybe something like of their style, like overall in general. So here's an example. So you'll say, hey, that jacket or hat looks really good on you. Okay? Or, I love your hair. That's a really original look. Here's another example. How is that book? How is that food? How is that thing? Whatever she's doing. Maybe she's on her laptop. Maybe she's using a pen. Maybe she's eating a certain kind of food. Comment on it. And ask her, is that any good? You'd be surprised how responsive people are to that opener. Now, a lot of guys, they want the magic opener. They want the magic line. They'll use these and still want more. It's not about the opener. The openers really help you get into conversation, and that's pretty much it. You don't need anything else that's going to be more complicated than what I'm showing you right here. I know it's probably seeming so simple that it's crazy. Well, this stuff really is fairly simple. The hard part's just doing it. Okay? So with casual openers, if you want to go more direct, it's always an option. Some people don't want to just comment on something. Maybe they want to go more direct, which is an option for you. I say test it out. I don't have any preference for either or. But if you want to go more direct, that's something like, hey, I saw you over here and I thought you looked cute. I had to come over and say hi. Okay, so that's the famous line right there. Hey, I saw you over here. I thought you looked cute, and I had to say hi. And I want you to go over there and say it with confidence. Okay, say it with confidence. Look her directly in the eye and say it. And then you got to go to the transition, right? So we worked on the openers. Now we're doing transitions. So you're going to have to go from the opener to something else, right? And I'm sure you're wondering, well, where do I go from there? Well, if you're going to do a transition off of a direct approach, hey, I saw you over here. Thought you looked cute. I had to come over and say hi. She's going to say thank you. And then you're going to say, so what are you up to today? Okay. Or word extraction. Okay, so let me explain what that means. Word extraction, which I'll teach you in the next module, is basically, it's a little trick that I'm going to help you with in terms of continuing conversation. And the way you do it is you listen to what they're saying, you extract a word, and you continue conversation from there. I'll say it again. You listen in the conversation, you extract in your head one word, a key word, out of a sentence that they said, and you continue conversation from there. So what does that look like? Maybe she says, after you say, hey, I saw you over here, you look cute, I had to come over and say hi, so what are you up to today? She's going to say, oh, nothing, just doing a little bit of grocery shopping. Your key word here is grocery shopping. Very simple, right? Oh, cool. What have you been shopping for? She's going to say, well, I'm trying to make dinner tonight and I'm making some pasta, so I'm trying to find some pasta. Your key words there are either pasta, dinner, probably just one of those, and you'll say something along the lines of maybe, oh, I love pasta. The best pasta I've ever eaten was blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll go over the word extraction again in the next module, but just get the idea that that's going to help you continue conversation. So you'll go from, so what are you up to today, to word extraction, or you're going to use word extraction back here when you comment on something, right? So you're going to say, oh, I love your hair. That looks original. That's a really original look. Or you're going to ask her how that book, that thing is that any good? She'll start talking about it and then keep talking about that thing and then try to word extract from there. Okay, let's go into social openers. So those are the openers that you'll use when you want to approach someone during the day. Now you want to do a little bit different when you're opening up in a social environment. Here's some openers for you right here. You girls look cool. I had to come over and say hi. You girls look fun. I had to come over and say hi. Those are more direct. Okay, but forget the direct or indirect right now. These are just the best social openers ever. You girls look cool. You girls look fun. Or maybe you see a girl with cool style. Oh, those shoes are awesome. Oh, those look kick ass. You have awesome style. Right? That's what you're going to comment on. And I call them social openers not just because they're used in social settings, but they're actually a social opener. You're showing the girls or the girl that you're just being social. I'm not really a big believer on using other types of openers other than this, because this is the most confident type of opener. You're going to go over there, you're going to say these words, and you will come off extremely confident. Because most guys don't use these lines. Most guys want to use a pickup line or something generic. And as generic as these sound, they're really not, because most guys aren't using them. Most guys just aren't going up and being fun and saying, hey, I'm here to meet you. I'm here to socialize. You guys are cool, right? Here's another one. Hi, I haven't met you guys yet. What's up? That's it, right? How simple is that? And you might think, does this work? I'll tell you, yes. I've seen these used time and time again. and get ready. Because when you use them, you're going to see how well they work. You just got to say the lines. And then there's the transitions, right? So what do you do after you do the social opener? What are you supposed to say? What's the line after you open up? After many years of research, my friend, I've come up with these. And of course, if you have something else, by all means, use it. But if you struggle with conversation, you just don't know what to do, boom, here you go. Use these forever, or use them as training wheels for now, but there you go. How do you girls know each other? Kind of look at everybody. Look at everyone in the group. How do you girls know each other? Or maybe you're at a party. You'll say, who do you know here? And then word extraction. Okay, so from those transitions of how do you girls know each other, they're going to say, oh, we met, in college, or we're best friends, or we're sisters. Those are all your keywords: best friends, sisters, college. Boom, word extraction. Use that to say anything you like, right? I'm teaching the fundamentals of natural conversation, so you'll be able to use these conversation techniques with anyone, anywhere, anytime.